We previously looked at Spotify, and to summarize the video, they don't have transcripts in place. But now we're going to look at Apple Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts are much better, and they have what I think of when I hear automatic transcript. So we're going to play a screenshot from my phone, and we're going to look at a specific episode from the Bill Simmons podcast. So we'll see here that we have the episode, we have the play button, and if we look down, we have the show notes and or description for the episode. And then we come across a section titled transcript, and this is automatically generated. So we're going to go ahead and open up this section, and we can see that the transcript, it looks decent. And I have listened to the beginning of this episode. It looks decent, but I have noticed now three spelling errors, one with FanDuel. It's spelled Fandul. And then there is also Ryan Russillo's name comes up, and Ryan Russillo is a regular podcaster on the Ringer Network. His name is misspelled. And then there's a reference to Victor Wembanyama. His name is misspelled. Here's Russillo, Rosilo. That is not how you spell his last name. But continuing on, the transcript itself does look decent. So this automatic transcript does look decent. The problem is the speakers aren't identified. And with the Bill Simmons podcast, he regularly has on guests. And in this particular podcast, he had three guests on. So if we're just scrolling through the transcript, even as accurate as it is, let's say the transcript is 97% accurate, which is decent. The problem is we don't know who's speaking when. So as soon as the podcast starts, we're going to lose context fast. Then here's another example. We have Wimby, which is Victor Wembanyama's nickname. It's misspelled, so it's not the perfect, but the perfect transcription, but it is decent. But again, the problem is that there are no speakers identified. But with Apple, you can upload your own transcript. So you can take care of this and make it so that these speakers are identified. So that's a great thing. But the problem is that this will be just for Apple. So this will be just for people who are using the Apple app. And then also another problem is this may not be the format that you want your transcript in. So it is here, it's all here, and it's nice, but this isn't going to, there are people that are listening to on other platforms. So Spotify being one, and there are so many others like iHeartRadio, et cetera. And this podcast, this transcript is not going to be available on those different platforms. Now, you could link, in theory, you could link to Apple, but you probably wouldn't want to do that because not everybody is in the Apple ecosystem. So now I'm going to tab to the podcast, the episode page on Apple Podcasts on desktop. So this is not on the app. I'm not logged in. But we can see here, there's the episode for the Bill Simmons podcast. It is the same episode, but we have the show notes and the description, but what we don't have is the automatic transcript. So presumably there's not the ability to have the transcript on this public page. Now, I think what would happen is if you logged in, then you would have access to this. I don't know that for sure, but I think you would. The problem is that not everybody is hooked into the Apple ecosystem. So you'd want to make sure that wherever you are linking to from another platform, that you had access, that everyone could have public access without logging in or having access to the app. Everyone would be able to access the transcript, which just isn't the case, which is yet another reason why to use Transcript Host. So Transcript Host is my new platform where you can upload transcripts to your podcasts or anything else, a webinar, a conference, a presentation, etc. You can upload the transcripts, have the speakers identified, have it formatted, and then link to that from wherever you have a podcast or wherever you want to link to. It could be from a web page, it could be from Apple Podcasts, it could be from your show notes, it could be from your YouTube video description. You can link to it forever, and then everybody has access to the transcript with the speakers, and you can have it there in one central location. So I think it's a good advancement on the part of Apple Podcasts to have that feature in place. It's just not going to be sufficient, especially when you consider that we want our transcripts to be widely available and accessible. We don't want them to be a part of just one network and not another. So I think this is a good feature, but you just want to have it everywhere, and you want someone to easily be able to open this up without any problems, without wondering if they have to sign in, if they have to download the app. It should just be accessible. And so that's what's nice about just having a single link to a centralized transcript, and for really all of your episodes. So it doesn't just have to be for one episode, right? It would be for this in this instance, but then you'd also have a page where you can find all of your transcripts for all of your content. So this is all available on transcripthost.com. I will link to transcript host in the description. And I will also link to the video on Spotify where we looked. And Spotify also claims that they have automatic transcripts that are generated, but they're not actually referring to transcripts. They're referring to subtitles. And even at that, the read along feature on Spotify isn't available for many podcasts. So I'll go ahead and link to all of those resources in the description.